this edition of PC Voyage. I'm Andrew Doty.
And I'm Rainey Laviolette.
On today's episode, we have the usual trivia questions and answers. A visit from Donnelly again. Keith will be back yet again to do bits and PCs, and a special trip to Boston, to the Computer Museum in Boston. It's a pretty good trip, wasn't it?
Yes, you didn't go.
All right.
And we'll be bringing you that Computer Museum trip right after Chip brings you the trivia question. We'll be right back.
Here are this week's computer trivia questions. Number 1. What company purchased Ashton Tate, makers of device and Multimate? And number 2. Name the 3+ filters.
You know, if you haven't, I don't know, have you been to the Computer Museum before?
A while ago.
Well, let me tell you, it's changed a lot. Did they have the walkthrough computer there when you were there?
Yeah, the walkthrough, yeah.
Well, they've done this whole great exhibit on softwares, on software and computers. They've also done another excellent exhibit on history of computers. I knew I'd get it eventually. It's right there on the tip of my tongue. And recently, I took a PC Voyage film crew out to the Computer Museum, and we had a great time out there. We had some excellent guests and some excellent people out there working with us. And right now, we're going to bring you a little bit of that trip. Here at the Computer Museum in Boston with Julie Oates, Manager of Corporate and Foundation Relations. How you doing, Julie?
Good. How are you?
Good. How many people come down here to the Computer Museum?
We get about 150,000 a year, and about 45% of that is children and school groups. So we get a lot of kids down here, too.
How long have you been in this location?
We've been here in Boston since 1984, and we became a nonprofit in '82. So this year is our 10-year anniversary.
Great, great. I know I like coming down here, and a lot of people, I'm sure, in the industry especially do. Seeing that Boston's supposed to be the software and computing capital of the world, I'm sure you get a lot of those people coming through as well.
We do. We have an international audience, and we have students, computer professionals, people that know everything about computers, and people that know nothing. So.
Great. So I understand we're going to be taking a tour now?
Yep, we're going to go upstairs, and both Troy and Chris will be giving you a tour of the museum.
Great. Let's go.
Okay.
Exhibit here, Chris.
Okay, this is the walkthrough computer, which is our two-story tall computer. And the purpose is to explain somewhat about the hardware of computers and what different pieces actually do. And so what people will do is they'll come in and they'll start using the giant trackball. And you can use the trackball to run a program that's running off of the large monitor.
And what is the program?
The program's called World Traveler. And what you do is you select two cities. One city is a starting point, and one is a destination, and the computer finds the shortest path between those 2 points. Then, when we go inside of the computer, we use pictures in some of the major chips to show you what each chip does in the process of the program.
So everything is based on this one program, essentially.
Right.
And I'm sure the giant mouse is popular.
Yeah, it's really fun to try to run it. Kids really enjoy it.
Hang all over it and everything.
Yeah.
That's a fully functional trackball.
Yep, and on the other side you'll be able to look inside, and we have a cutout so you can see the different pieces inside and how it's working.
Well, let's step over that way. And this here is what we're seeing here is how the trackball itself works?
Right. What happens is whenever you move the ball on the top, you're going to end up moving two rollers that are inside of the trackball. And you can see one on the side here, and there's also one at the top. And those rollers are each in charge of a different direction for an arrow when you're moving it on the screen. The roll on the side will move the arrow to the left or to the right, and the roll at the top will move it up and down.
Great. Does the keyboard work too on this?
Yes.
You want to head over to the keyboard? And we're looking at a cutout of the keyboard here. Is this a functional keyboard?
Yes, it is. At one point in the program, you'll actually be able to select an area of the world to visit, and each one of these keys corresponds to a different region, so you just have to push it down to select, say, North America or South America.
How big is this keyboard compared to a regular keyboard?
Everything like the trackball and the keyboard are 50 times the size of a regular keyboard.
And this is the only part of the keyboard that you have here that is functional.
Right. Okay, well, we've just come inside, and what we're looking at is the video board. And this is where the picture that you see on your screen is actually put together. And you'll be able to see how we have different chips, each controlling a different color for the picture on the screen.
And is this actually the way like a VGA card itself would work?
Right. What it does is it has 3 colors, and it will mix the colors. The colors are red, green, and blue, and it just mixes them to come up with the colors you see on the screen.
We must be under the fan.
Right, just near the power supply.
Hey, Keith, we got the power supply over here. And so you can even see the volt in the stuff on the door over there. Oh, the power cord's in the back.
We're sort of going into the main area of the computer. The area that we're walking on is what's called the motherboard. And this is where the major chips of the computer are actually located. And if we look at the ground, what we'll see are these blinking lights. And these are the way that information moves between the different areas inside. They're called buses or data lines. And if we were outside of the computer and we use the keyboard or the trackball, what happens is information will travel through these buses, and it will go over to this chip right over here. And that's what's called the keyboard trackball interface chip. And it's sort of like a storage area for information on how far we want to move an arrow up and down or to the left or to the right, or whatever key we want to press outside. And it will hold information there until the central processing unit is ready to use it.
And what are all these cables coming down from the sky?
Okay, these are just a different, they're called ribbon cable, and it's just another form of a bus for information to travel between different areas. A lot of times you'll have areas hooked up to like a hard disk or a floppy disk so information can travel.
And we must be towards the, you still on, Keith?
Oh, the short is screwed.
Excuse me? Who's that?
Okay, well, what we're doing is, since the program is running on the outside, we try to show what it's doing inside, and we slowed everything down in here, and so we slowed the voice down also to try to make it realistic.
We're at the back of the PC here, and this is where
Right.
the different interfaces are coming in?
Right, if you hooked up your keyboard or even power plugs would be attached to the back wall here.
Hey, we're state of the art at least. This thing's being run by a 486.
Yeah, and what it does is the screen on the central processing unit sort of goes through the different instructions that the computer's reading at the time. And so it might say it has to get a picture of a certain city so that it can show it on the screen outside, and so it shows what instruction it's getting, and then it tries to get the information from some area of memory.
And it's telling it here that it's putting it to the hard disk, or
Right.
moving the sound over to temporary.
And so right now it's just brought up an instruction, and then it's going to finish that instruction and send information wherever it has to go.
And now you're hearing it through the speaker up
Right.
above it. What are we looking at here?
Okay, these are the RAM memory, or the temporary memory of the computer. This is where any of the information that you need at the moment to run a program is going to be kept so that the computer can use it. And so what it's done is it's taken information off of the hard disk and the floppy disk over here, and it's moved it to the RAM chips for use.
And they actually have the platters going in there.
Right. What happens is as the platters spin, these arms can move across and pick up different pieces of information.
What's the theoretical capacity of this hard drive?
I'm not actually sure on how big the hard disk is supposed to be. It should be mighty big now.
And everything here is 50 times bigger than what it normally would be.
Right.
Even the chips and the hard drives and everything else. So the important part of the walkthrough computer, the part where the power comes in.
Right.
You see the power cord coming in through the giant wall outlet You don't want to stick your fingers in there, though, do you?
No, it'd be a little shocking.
And this is where the power cords come right back into the back of the PC and powers everything else. And now for this part of the tour, we have Troy Fryett. How you doing, Troy?
Hi, I'm doing just fine.
And what do you do here at the museum?
I'm a visitor assistant here at the museum. I've been here for coming on 2 years, and it's just my job to help the public with the exhibits, keep everything running, and answer any questions that anyone has.
How did you become so informed on all this?
Well, I've been working with computers since freshman year high school, really, even earlier, programming. And now I'm at Boston University. I've taken computer classes, just pick up information about computers anywhere I can, really.
What's your major?
My major right now is art history, which isn't computer related at all, but...
I'm sure you'll tie it in somewhere.
All right, this is Smart Machines, and this area contains some examples of robotics and very primitive artificial intelligence.
These are the guys from the Maxell ads.
That's right. This is the very set that they used for the Maxell ads, actually, and they've been donated to us.
That's really nice.
Artificial intelligence programs, it's still a good one, though it's really just a play on words. When you'll speak to it, it'll sort of rephrase what you said and ask it back at you. It's supposed to be a computer psychologist, and it pretty much does that. It lets you talk things through by just prompting questions that you give it right back at you.
What is the exhibit we're heading into now?
Okay, it's called Tools and Toys, and it's the newest gallery we have. And the exhibits in here are all personal computers, and we're trying to show different software programs that you can run on a personal computer. We have exhibits dealing with sight and sound.
Your principal sponsor is Mr. Gates.
Yeah.
Does he come down here to see where his money's going?
I have never actually seen him in the museum, if he has. Okay, the Tinker Toy computer is playing, what it does is it plays tic-tac-toe with you. And if you move a piece for making either an X or an O, when you move your piece, the wires will be pulled and it will move an opposite piece. And so you can never actually beat the Tinker Toy computer at tic-tac-toe. The best you can do is tie it.
This is actually a fully functional...
Right, it really works. You can, if you wanted, you could like move the different pieces and try to beat it, but you won't be able to.
Where are we now?
Okay, this exhibits what's called What Do You Think? And what you can do is you can record an opinion on whether you think a computer is more of a tool for some kind of work or more of a toy for enjoyment. And so what we have are 6 different opinions, and people will record their opinion, then you can play them back to see what other people have said, or you can record your own one over those.
So you can, let's see, touch here to record your opinion. It's fully touch screen.
Right.
Do you think the personal computer is a tool, a toy, or both? Classify it by touching one of, let's say, oh boy, we could really waffle back and forth on this one on whether the computer is actually a tool or a toy. I'm not really sure. I'm not a politician or anything, so I really couldn't give a straight answer to this question. What do you think?
I think that it's probably both, personally, because it can be a lot of fun, but there's also a lot of work that you get done, so I'd have to go with both, tool and toy.
We have a lot of time here for 20 seconds. There we go, we're all done. And it's going to replay it?
Right, it'll replay it right now.
On this one, whether the computer is actually a tool or a toy, I'm not really sure. I'm not a politician or anything. That's what I thought. I wanted to waffle, you know, a little bit back and forth on this one. What do you think? This is as good a place as any to close off this tour. We're back here in front of the giant diskette drive in front of the walkthrough.
Yeah.
What we want to do is have people come down here and visit the computer museum. What kind of hours are there to this place?
Museum's open 10 to 5 every day save from Monday. Right down here in Congress Street, right off South Station. Hope to see lots of people down here, because...
Is there a phone number that people can get information about the computer museum?
Yep. 426-2800.
Area code 617.
Area code 617.
Well, thanks a lot, Troy. I appreciate you giving us the tour.
Thanks a lot.
And I want to thank
Hope
Chris.
you enjoyed it.
We did. I want to thank Chris and Julie for also helping us out here. And I'm Rainey Laviolette for PC Voyage. He never tells me exactly what he wants. I mean,
Boy, Rainey, you know, the museum's really changed. There's a lot more added to it. It's nice
yeah,
to see.
they've really done a lot of work on it, and in fact, there's one exhibit on robotics that they're looking to change here in the next year. So they're really taking a different segment of the museum and switching it around once every year. So if you haven't been in a couple of years, make the trip. It's well worth it, and it was a lot of fun.
They still have the machine here that takes your height. You stand in it, and it
Yeah,
tells you how tall you
it's
are.
always fun. They have this machine. I'll tell the story a little bit better than you do. They have this computer there that tells your height. You stand under it. It's like one of those Kodak photosensitive cameras. And the best thing to do is, if you're really tall, is to stand up behind somebody really short and hold your hand up like this. And if you get up tall enough, it actually will say, "Gee, you should be playing for the Celtics." And actually, they're really short.
Oh,
Hey,
brother.
what do you expect? What do you expect?
And here's our own little resident height expert, Chip, with the trivia answer.
Here are this week's computer trivia answers. Number 1. Ashton Tate was purchased by Poland International. And number 2. The 3+ filter programs are Sort, Find, and More.
I just wanted to see how long you were going to stare at me. Yeah, Walt's camera. I got it. I'm with the show. I'm with the show. Boy, after that exciting trivia, we always comment about how great these trivia questions are.
We have no idea what he's asking.
And if it's anything based on what he did last year, they're probably not that good. But don't tell Keith. He might be offended.
It's his computer.
And speaking of Keith, here's Keith Davis with Bits and PCs.
And his computer.
Hi, I'm Keith Davis. Today we're going to talk about the type command and the copy command. These are two very fundamental DOS commands. They're both internal commands too, which means they're built into the operating system and they're automatically loaded into memory when the operating system loads. There are a lot of external DOS commands, and by the way, the reason that a lot of DOS commands like format, check disk, and other commands, backup and restore for instance, are not internal commands is because they would take up a lot of space in memory and they may not be used a lot of the times. But the people who designed MS-DOS felt that there were some commands that should be part of the operating system and always loaded into memory and ready to go. The type and copy command are two of those. Now the type command is used to display a file to the screen, and you can even send a file to the printer using the type command. Well, let's take a look at what we have here on the screen. We have some files, and here's a file called ls.bat, and that's an ASCII file which the type command can display. And to put it up on the screen, we simply type ls.bat. And of course, it streams by the screen and goes right to the bottom of the file, and we didn't see too much of it. So what we can do is we can pipe that using the vertical symbol, the pipe symbol, through the DOS more filter. Now the more filter is a file that would be in the DOS directory, and that's an external DOS command. But this will show us one screen at a time here. And we see this little more here. Now we can see some commands in our batch file here, and we can see them one screen at a time. And that's about all there is to the type command, but it is useful when you want to quickly view an ASCII file that's on the hard drive or on a floppy drive. Now, another command that's very important as far as DOS goes is the copy command. And this is the command that you would use to copy files from one directory to another or one drive to another. And it's a very fundamental command, very basic, that everybody should learn, and learn how to do it from the DOS prompt. Now, there's a certain syntax that's used with the copy command, but there's also a few shortcuts you can take with it. Now let's say we want to copy a file that's in this directory. Well, we're in the D drive in a directory called lesson. Let's say we want to copy one of these files to the B drive. Now the long way of doing it would be to say copy from the D drive lesson subdirectory, and let's pick ls.bat again, and let's send it to the B drive. Now we're not going to give it a name, because if we don't give it a name, it will end up on the B drive with the same name it started with. If we want to give it a new name, we could assign a new name to it at this point. And we hit enter, and the file copies over to the B drive, and we get a message that says one file copied. Now if we do a directory of the B drive, we should see that file, and here it is at the bottom of a list of other files that are already on the B drive. But there's a little simpler way of copying that over. Since we're in the directory that we want to start from, we can just say copy ls.bat to the B drive, and that'll accomplish the same thing. And say we wanted to copy all the batch files that are in this directory over to the B drive, then we'd say copy star, which is a wildcard, any file name with a BAT extension to the B drive. And there's probably a couple of them here that we'll copy over. So the copy command is a very fundamental command, and it's something everybody should learn. And if you know how to use it from the DOS prompt, then when you use a utility that highlights file names for you and copies them, you'll understand what's going on behind the scenes. And we'll be back on future shows with some other DOS commands. See you then.
Wow, you know, Keith brings us these stimulating insights into the personal computer industry. Because that's like a bunch of bull or what?
In other words, he talks about Chip.
I don't know. I think he dissects Chip, or somebody should. Speaking of Chip, he's back again with that great computer trivia computer trivia address. PC Voyage address. For some reason, I'm having a hard time tonight.
Rainey, you're babbling, Rainey. Here's the address.
We'll be right back after Chip brings us the address.
If you have any questions, or if you have any comments about the show, please write to us. Our new address is PC Voyage, P.O. Box 10486, Holyoke, Massachusetts 01041. We appreciate hearing from you.
And here is our illustrious little lady of news, Donnelly DePro.
Well, you know, I think we need thesaurus here. We need more adjectives, I think.
Hi, I'm Donnelly DePro, and this is the PC Voyage News. Intel has introduced the 486SL, the latest addition to its 486 microprocessor line. The new power-thrifty chip is designed for use in portable computers. It operates on 3.3 volts of electricity instead of the 5 volts required for most CPUs. Intel says the 486SL offers twice the computing speed of the 386SL, its first microprocessor designed to conserve battery power. Compact Computer, AST Research, and many other PC makers will offer notebook computers designed around the new microprocessor. WordPerfect has released a pre-beta test version of WordPerfect for DOS 6.0, reports PC Week. The trade publication says the new version of the Orem, Utah-based company's flagship word processor borrows heavily from its Windows counterpart. The program's new features include collapsible outlines, desktop publishing capabilities, and hypertext-based help. PC Week notes that the new software marks the first major upgrade of WordPerfect for DOS in more than 3 years. The program is scheduled for release next spring. Spinnaker Software has introduced an OS 2.0 version of its PFS Works software. PFS Works for OS 2.2.0 includes a word processor with page layout features. It also provides spreadsheet, chart editor, database, communications, label maker, and address book modules. The program provides hot linking, which dynamically links key modules to each other. IBM has clearly shown OS2 to be a significant presence in the PC field, says David Seuss, chairman and CEO of Cambridge-based Spinnaker Software. Epson America has developed the FX870 and the FX1170, enhanced version of its two top-selling 9-pin dot matrix printers, the FX850 and the FX1050. The new models operate up to 30% faster and have additional paper handling capabilities. The prices of the new FX870 and FX1050 will remain unchanged from the previous models, $499 and $699 respectively. Both the narrow carriage 80-column FX870 and wide carriage 136-column FX1170 are now available. IBM and NBC are working on News on Demand venture that would allow PC users to retrieve satellite-delivered news reports from a server and view them on their computer screens, reports the Washington Post. The project, called NBC Desktop News, will be aimed at businesses and other large subscribers. The Post says IBM and NBC plan to test the system with an unidentified group of corporations in the New York area through 1993. A formal rollout is expected to take place in 1994. Portions of the PC Voyage News are brought to you courtesy of the Prodigy Services Company.
It's always great. Whenever I go to Boston, I have to spend money, so I went out and bought this slick Cheers tie.
On that note, I'm Andrew
I had
Doty.
nothing to do with computers, but I liked it anyway.
I'm still Andrew Doty.
And I'm not. We'll see you next week with PC Voyage.